Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Canterbury Turnings. My name is Claude Dupuis. We're at my shop here in Canterbury. And today I want to talk to you about finishing. I have an ash bowl here that has got 4 or 5 coats of water locks. Water locks is a tung oil-based finish. It's a wipe-on type varnish. Great durability, polishes up really nice. The last step is exactly that, a polish. And what that consists of is a buffing compound. It's got a red buffing compound, a white buffing compound, and a carnauba wax, the hardest wax known to mankind. The small piece of it, of course. And I'm using separate buffing wheels for each one of these compounds and waxes. So that's obviously the red one. This is the yellow one is for the wax. And I have, of course, the white one for the white buffing compound. And they all sit on the lathe, in the lathe. I use this number 2 mortise taper that fits inside the lathe. So I insert that and give it a little wrap just to hold in place, like that. And then I'll screw on the number 1 step is to use this red buffing compound. So it's important, obviously, to use them in the right steps, starting with red, the white, and then the wax for the last step. So this one has got a good number of coats on it. I'll sometimes start out with just a light brushing of, this is, I think, 4/0 steel wool. So I'll go over it lightly with a 4/0 steel wool. When you put finish on a bowl and it's still wet, it picks up a little fibers in the air, little dust particles will settle on the finish and get these little nubs. You talk to anybody who's making furniture, they'll buff out their finish, and furniture makers. If you paint a car, they'll buff out the finish. So it's not uncommon for finishes to be buffed out. In fact, it's very common. So, and this is no different. So it's really just a light touch, just to get rid of any little nubs that might be on the surface. So I'll just kind of go over it lightly with this 4/0 steel wool. Try to get it all the way around, obviously. So this is a process I'll do with all my bowls that have water locks on them, including my decorative pieces, my vases, and all such. So that's, and I want to be able to wipe that stuff off. So it's an added step that, if you're using a different type of finish, either mineral oil or walnut oil people are using, I think those are good finishes for everyday use. But this type of finish does require a little more work. So starting out with a red buffing compound, I will spread some of that on this wheel. And it looked like it didn't stick there for a second, but good. Okay. And so that you get a better view, I am going to switch cameras. So you get a nice close-up view. Things coming out loose here. So I'm going to switch cameras. Wait a second. I can find my camera switch. And now you got a close-up view of what I'm doing. So there's my red compound. And starting it on the inside, I will do this surface here on the inside. And it's important to hold on to the bowl as you're doing this. This is spinning at 1,000 RPM, and it'll rip the bowl right out of your hand if you're not careful. So it's important to get it pinned against my body. I'm holding it here, and I'll go all the way around with this buffing wheel, starting with that outside edge on interior outside edge, up top edge. And I'll work my way all the way around. And then we'll move over as we go through. I'm only covering, you know, a couple inches here at a time. So, you know, I'll make a turn all the way around until we get the entire thing. And then I'll get the center by going up and down this way. Again, being careful to hold on. Well, I don't have to hold on real tight, but I do have to be careful so that the buffing wheel doesn't catch an edge. So I've got the interior done. And now we're going to want to do this edge, but I don't want to have it cut on that very outside edge. So I want this surface to rub against that without cutting a sharp edge there. So really, it's really, again, not too much pressure, but enough to cover the whole thing. So this does add some labor to all my pieces. So now this top is done, but I think it's worthwhile. If you were to handle one of my bowls prior to my buffing and after, you would notice a notable difference. This really smooths everything else, gets rid of any little dust particles that may have settled on a finish as it was drying. Speaking of finish, you know, I do sand between each coat as I'm finishing with 4/0 steel wool. So I'm getting rid of most of the nubs as we're going along. And I'll keep this rotating this piece, this bowl, as I attack a different section. Again, I'm only covering about 1.5 to 2 inches at a time. So I'll turn a little bit and keep going. But yeah, it's quite a bit of labor compared to other finishes that might be one coat and done. This is several coats and still not done. That's this step. And then this is where, when you're doing the bottom, that it gets real tricky. If it grabs this edge, it'll rip the bowl right out of your hands. So I'll do about half in this direction, so I'm not catching an edge. And then I'll turn it 180 and do the other half. Kind of hit that edge. Yeah. So that would be the first round. I would dust this off. And already, just that one buff, already it's starting to feel a lot different, a lot smoother. It's lost some of the shine, although it's still relatively shiny. But it's a duller shine, but it's feeling very, very smooth. And we'll take this red buffing wheel off, and we'll go to the next step. And we'll put on the white buffing wheel. This is, you can tell by the white plastic thing on the bottom here. And screw that on, like so. And we'll start it up and put a little buffing compound on there. I am wearing safety glasses because, you know, this does stir up some dust and so forth. And now I'm going to repeat the process. Start on the inside so I know where I'm at. Making full contact with the wheel. Making sure I don't lose track of where I am. Make a complete circle. I'll move over to the next section of the interior by rotating the bowl a little bit. So it's really repeating this thing 3 times. And then I'll do the center. Being careful not to grab an edge. Turn it 180. Well, it's okay to, you know, to overlap your strokes a little bit. You're going to anyways to make sure you catch everything. Now I'm going to do that edge again without cutting too deep here. So the angle is important on this. Make my way around. all the way around. Now the edge is done. Now the outside edge. And I'm trying to keep the edge of the bowl flush with the wheel to get, the best contact, maximize the contact, and bring it all the way around. I've got the far edge is pinned against my torso, and I'm supporting the bowl on the bottom here so that it doesn't rip it out of my hands, because it has happened. And you get a bowl to this point, you don't want it flying across the room. One, you could get hurt. Two, you're probably going to ruin the bowl. So there's another edge. And get the bottom all the way around. Hit the bottom again. And I'll line up a number of bowls, 5 or 6, and do them all at the same time. It's more efficient that way, and you're not swapping the buffing wheels for every bowl. So you'll do, 5 or 6 with the one wheel on it, and then swap it over, swap the buffing wheel out. Now the last step would be the Canuba wax. We change buffing wheels to the yellow, and I know it's the right one because they're color coded. Yellow for the yellow wax. Like I said, that Canuba wax is the hardest wax known to mankind. And it comes in a bigger piece than this, but this is what I have, a piece that broke off, I think, and I probably have a bigger piece in the drawer back there. So again, I will just kind of dust this off, get rid of any white buffing compound that might be left on there. And then I'll start out by spreading some of this wax on there. Again, this is a really hard wax. You don't need a lot. Just want to get some good coverage there. And we repeat the process, starting in the same place. After a while, you get a rhythm going, so you get more efficient at what you're doing, and more confident that you're not going to lose a piece in the wind. So it's really starting to feel to the touch a whole lot different than it did when I started. This makes a lot of difference. Get the interior. I like to run the grain up and down so I know where I am, keep track of where I'm at. Maybe get a little overlap there. Turn it 180, do it again. 20 overlap so I don't miss any spots. Then we get the edge, top edge. Then I'm hitting the buffing wheel so that it's hitting this as flat as we can. And this is the first thing that people will touch is these edges, the top edge and the inside, outside edges. So I want to make sure I really do a nice job here and get some good coverage. And I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on the buffing wheel. I can feel a little bit of heat on this edge from the wheel. Again, I'm turning at 1,000 RPM, so it's spinning pretty good. Not sure I made it all the way around here as I was talking, but I think I did. And we'll rotate the bowl a little bit. Get another 2 inches of it. And bottom section. And then again in the bottom. So I'll start halfway. If you come out and catch this edge, it'll rip it right out of your hand. So I want to stay away from, I want to avoid doing that, obviously. Turn it 180. It's okay to get some overlap. There we have it. Let me switch back to. I'm going to switch back to my other camera. All right, so that's the buffing process of a finished. I now have a finished bowl, and it feels really silky smooth to the touch. Again, this is ash, well marked. I have them signed on the bottom or initialed. So that's my signature, and I do that on every piece. I will also buff my decorative pieces, vases, and so forth. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you soon.